A creator arises from the darkness, and life follows him. His family quarrels, blows are exchanged, and the dark gods pour in through the wounds. The world, once so vibrant, collapses under the weight of chaos, but its glory can live forever so long as one remains to remember it.
Before there was the Age of Sigmar, there was the Age of Chaos, and before that, the Age of Myth. And before even that, lost long ago, existed the world that was. This lone planet created numerous stories of strife, love, hope, and loss, but most often it created stories of epic battles and terrifying wars between its residents. Understanding the history of the mortal realms begins with understanding this long-forgotten broken world, as they are deeply connected. Many of the great actors of this age have their roots in this bygone world, even though many are greatly changed from what they once were. Much of this old world still physically exists in the realms, be that through the arms and armor of the great paladins of Sigmar, or through the very words we utter to describe the realms. In this age, we call this world Malice, and its core sits in Azir, hanging high above Sigmaron, where it is mined for the Sigmarite that is so treasured by the denizens of the realms. The doom of Malice arrived on the demonic wings of the Servants of Chaos, and despite valiant efforts by its noble defenders, the ever-chosen of Chaos, Archaon, destroyed the world of Malice by opening a rift underneath one of the largest cities of men. If you recognize this name, Archaon, then you now have a further understanding of just how old this ancient nemesis to the realms is, and how long his rivalry with Sigmar has continued. You see, this empire of men worshiped the same Sigmar who currently resides in Azir as a god, and understood that he was their best chance at defeating the powers of chaos. As the world that was became engulfed in burning light, the last image many saw before the ending of their existence was Archaon and Sigmar fighting over the great Warhammer Galmaraz. When the world of Malice shattered apart, Chaos claimed a total victory and ripped the world asunder, physically destroying a majority of the world, sundering its continents, and tearing it apart on a tectonic level. This sent dust and shards out into the space that is the Cosmos Arcane, with only a chunk of the core of the planet remaining intact to be fired across the infinite expanse by the destructive force of the activation of the Rift Gate. In doing so, the magics that had been present on the world that was were also sent spiraling into the etheric void and began to mix with the matter left behind, as well as existing space dust and materials, which comprised the nebula that had been previously viewable from Malice. The denizens of Malice had typified each of the magics and put like with their kind when they noticed that these winds typically presented in one of 8 varieties, viewable as colors to those with the ability to see and manipulate them. These variations became known in the old world as the Winds of Magic, and they were studied heavily by the Wizards of Malice. As they began moving freely through the Cosmos Arcane, these winds migrated towards more of their own kind, and large areas of similar magical forces coalesced. Eventually, so much of this combination of matter and magic occurred that it began to solidify into the realm spheres, areas that would later become known as the realms. As the millennia passed in each of these realms, the material composing them began to solidify in the center of these spheres, and as such formed planet-sized disks of matter that were heavily influenced by the magical energies that produced them. Actually, the realm of fire, for example, is a hot, dry place with scorching winds and sulphurous hot springs, whereas Olgu, the realm of shadow, is a land of illusion and mist, with darkness hanging heavy no matter where one goes, and where seas are filled with black water and sirens' calls. The realms border each other in the nature of celestial bodies, and it is possible to stand on one realm and see the other realms, though it can be difficult if you do not have an eye trained for it. Day and night in the realms are controlled by the orbit of Olgu and Hish. When in their orbit, Hish faces a realm, its light creates a daytime, and when it passes behind Olgu, it is night. Each of the realms is not infinite in size, though each are much larger than a single planet. Because each realm looks so much like a large, flat landmass, it can be easy to forget that each one is a creation of massive, unstable magical energies, which all originate from the same etheric source. Towards the edges of each of the realms, the most primordial of these energies orbit the center of the realm, and to venture to these far-flung places is to be pulled apart by the howling magical forces at work there. This means that civilization and life only exist on the inner regions of these realms, where the base magic that created the realm has interacted with small amounts of the other 8 base magical forces. This combination of the magical forces is what leads to the creation of stability and allows land to form and life to flourish. It took uncounted aeons before life would begin to flourish in the realms, and even then it was nomadic and barbaric in nature. It was only with the coming of the gods that civilizations began to develop and prosper in the realms, and the first of the gods of order to begin to operate in this new age was Sigmar, who awoke clinging to what was left of the world that was after its destruction at the hands of Archaon. This slab of malice that he had been clinging to since time uncounted was seen by the god-beast Dracothian, who chased after it. Upon grasping malice, Dracothian noticed the incapacitated Sigmar, and healing him with warming breath, he allowed Sigmar to ride upon his back. After a time, Sigmar was able to convince Dracothian to drag the core of malice into the realm of heavens in exchange for jewelry and gifts of Sigmarite. From here, Sigmar would begin his great work of bringing civilization to the realms. Beyond the mortal realms, sitting like a metaphysical shadow, lies the realm of chaos. This is a dark and twisted realm that is created and fed by the darkest desires of all self-aware mortal creatures, and where the very idea of an immutable reality is unimaginable. Having existed since even before the time of the world that was, this is where the chaos gods lay claim and marshal their armies to launch against the mortal realms. The realm of chaos is an ever-changing hellscape, and all attempts to map it inevitably drive the cartographer to either madness or the clutches of the powers of chaos. Some landmarks have been identified, however, and we understand that each of the major deities of chaos own large tracts of the realm. The blood plains of Khorne, Garden of Nurgle, ever-changing mountain range of Tzeentch, 6 domains of temptation of Slaanesh, and the labyrinth of the Great Horned Rat all occupy this morbid realm. It is important to remember that because the laws of time, space, and reality are not present in the way which mortals understand them, that navigating between these lands is more a practice of esoteric arcane willpower than it is a matter of traveling north, south, east, or west. Only the most dark and twisted mortal soul can survive here for long, just as the demonic denizens of this realm can only exist in the mortal realms for a short time before being drawn back to the realm of chaos. From this realm of chaos, all magic originates, for all magic is inherently chaotic in nature, though when wielded wisely, not all magic bears the corrupting touch of chaos like those magics wielded by chaos sorcerers. It was to the realm of chaos that Archaon went once the world that was had been destroyed, and there, with many of the champions of his armies who had been elevated by the dark gods, he rode the realms, conquering and yet remaining independent of any individual god's control. In time, he would be called upon again to ride out from the realms of the thirsting dark gods, but that is a tale for another day.